Dear listeners, I would like to welcome you all to Wellness Spring, and I am so honored and blessed today to be here with my beautiful friend Claudia Herzfeld, and she is Brazilian, and as some of you might have just heard, she's in Brazil at the moment. However, Claudia and I actually met on the Côte d'Azur, and we were even more blessed to do a Psych-K workshop with Irene Menis, an Italian lady who's also an astrophysicist. And you know, it's all about that. Claudia and I have many feathers to our bows, and we've been healers forever. We've been searchers and seekers. We're both global travelers, and we share our healing in many different ways wherever we go. And Claudia, when she was in the south of France, she actually founded a non-for-profit entity called Dimensions Roses, which we will talk about shortly. And she also founded the Rose Tarot deck. And she believes by working on yourself and healing the many layers, which we all have of baggage and pain and suffering, that we can then rise above it all and lead from our heart and teach people to do the same. So by being a leader from your heart, we set the example. So welcome, Claudia, to Wellness Spring. I'm so happy to have you here, dear friend. So happy.
It's a blessing and an honor to talk to you, to be with you, and to be able to spread the words, you know, of the roses. So I'm very, very pleased and very happy.
Oh, thank you. Before we delve into it, could you please tell our listeners a bit about your background, where you grew up, your education, and just so they can get a feel of you?
Okay. I am honoring my parents that both are deceased. My mother was German, my father was German. They met here in Brazil, and they had a very, very passionate and short relationship that lasted 3 years. And they were married. And in this short relationship, I was born in Rio de Janeiro. And then my mother traveled back to Europe, left me at the age of 4 years old with my father. And at the age of 6, she came to get me back because she had married with my stepfather, Peter Petschek, and was living in Vila Cuchanoi in Saint-Jean-Cap-Ferrat. And from the age of 6 to the age of 17, I lived in Saint-Jean-Cap-Ferrat in south of France. I am so grateful to my parents. I'm so grateful to my stepfather, whom I love dearly. And until today, I have relationship with people from Saint-Jean-Cap-Ferrat. I keep the connection. That's why one of the many reasons south of France is very, very dear to me in my heart.
Wonderful. And do you have any siblings?
Oh, about my siblings, yes. My siblings, they are spread all over the world. I have a sister in Geneva. I have a sister in Geneva. I've got 2 sisters, you know, and so they're spread all over the world. Yes, I do. 2 lovely sisters.
And are they on the healing pathway the same as yourself, the self-seeking?
They are more seekers. They are not exactly on the same pathway, but as we are all one, we will all get there.
Exactly.
We are a product of our education, where we come from our past lives memory, from our mission, but independent of our belief system, we are all one. We will all get the message.
Exactly. Totally agree with you. And what did your parents do for a living, for example?
Well, my stepfather was a banker.
Yeah.
My mother was a housewife. And my actual father, he handled with precious stones in Brazil. He had mines of precious stones in Brazil.
And is that what sparked your passion for crystals? Because I know you work a lot with crystals.
Yes, because since early childhood, I was in a home. Wherever I looked, there was quartz, there was amethyst, there was rocks and stones all over the place. You know, it was something absolutely natural. And it was just later on that I began, you know, just holding it, reading the crystals. And then a time in my life where I had a shop in Carmel. I lived in the USA, and I made lots of reading, and I would separate the crystals for the healers. They were really specific because I was able to access the library and what the crystals, each crystal, which one would be best for what healer, you know. So it was a time in my life, you know, it was a cycle. And I enjoy very, very much the crystals and the minerals.
Oh, that's wonderful news. And tell us a bit about your spiritual pathway. Obviously, you were blessed with the crystals, but you keep talking about how you have to shed all the layers and heal yourself so that you can shine and thrive, because I know the listeners be interested.
Okay. I was a rebel in my childhood. No? I felt I didn't fit very well. And at the time, I mean, it was a normal education that I received, you know, but I just felt like a rebel, sort of, you know, and I was not getting from very, very young. It began from 10 years old. I was not getting the answers. And at the age of 12, at the villa where I was living, there was a huge library. I think that the previous owner, I mean, he was into esoterics and whatever. And I was reading stuff, you know, that a child of 12 years old, a teenager, isn't even meant to read. But I was reading, and just curiosity is still not finding my answers. And it was impossible to find my answers, because I would astral travel at night. I would go out of my body, and then I would come back and just be like, whoa, what happened? You know, I felt this astral, and I come back, and nobody was there to explain, no, it's perfectly normal. And, you know, nobody was there to explain the ABC. And I just got the answers when I came back at the age of I came back to Brazil at the age of 17, and the answers that I was looking for, I got them at the age of 25, when I began working on my, what we call in Brazil, we call it mediunidade, medium. And when I began learning how to work, you know, it's a teaching, you know, and it's how you work with the energy, how you teletransport, you know, how you heal with your hands. And so I was taught, like a baby is taught. I was given my answers, and my answers were given here in Brazil. And in the meantime, I tried doing all different courses in the holistic area to find my answer. My formation is in Shiatsu. My formation, Reiki 1, Reiki 2, Psych-K, you know, and then I studied Dr. Bach, and I just fell in love with the technique. And then came the roses, you know, the healing power of the roses. All this journey had to do with my self-healing, with a search in order to self-heal so that I could share with others, because it's all about sharing the step by step, you know. And it's even our time here on earth, our time is very, 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 very short. And when we come, we don't remember. It took for me to reconnect my antennas, and it took a couple of years. Now I'm pretty happy with all what I'm doing. I'm pretty connected, and I don't have all the answers, but as long as I keep my heart open and I am in my mission of sharing and being aligned in what I believe, aligned in what I speak, and the answer, whatever I need, the universe will come and will attend. So that's basically, wonderful. I can't say it's a long journey, because our time is very, very short, but going through this journey was full of ups and downs.
Yes, when we're connected and aligned to our heart and all that is, we go on beyond time, space and place. And what you just talking for our listeners, which many of them will still be on that linear time where we get up at a certain time, we go to bed at a certain time and all the procedures in between. But I believe that we're going through an era now, where people are coming into their hearts and they're opening up their hearts. And then people like you and I and light workers are going to be there for them, holding their hands and helping them to go through their ups and downs or their shadows and face their fears and obstacles. Could you please tell us first of all, how you got into working with the Rose Elixirs and how you founded your company? Who or what inspired you?
Okay. At the age of 15, my mother had in her garden in the village, she had roses. And she used to give me a little bit of pocket money for me to just go there and trim the roses. And every time I was trimming the roses, that was my first physical contact with the roses. I just loved it, the beauty, the smell, and I was in ecstasy. And 3 years ago, I had done a course of Dr. Bach, I am a therapist on the lineage of Dr. Bach. Dr. Bach is the doctor who founded. He was the first one to do a research on the flowers and in the healing capacity of the flowers. And he's well known all over. And he's considered the grandfather of many, many, many other florals, such as the Australian florals, such as here in Brazil, we have the florals of the Amazon and many, many, many others. So I made this course. And then afterwards that I completed the course, I looked around me in nature. The time I was living in Villefranche. And I said, look at those beautiful roses. Wherever I would go. And I had never seen cross roses, some with pink and red, orange and yellow. I mean, just walking in that garden, the Princess Grace garden, at the time with all the flowers, it's just, I said, okay, I'm going to apply the principle of Dr. Bach. The principles are very, very simple. You just delicately, after talking with the plant, and avoid touching the rose, you have a little bowl and the flower will go into the bowl with mineral water and stay in the sun for 4 hours. This begins before the sun rises. And then from this water, it is filtered and then Dr. Bach puts 50% of brandy. And I received the instruction just to put 30%, less alcohol. And those are the masters. And from the masters, you have the little children that go all around the world, and they work so beautifully. So I came up with a line of 7 roses according to the chakras. The red rose works with the lineage of Maria Magdalena and works and brings in the energy of when the person has a lack of energy. Red brings potency, brings energy, and so helps the person connect to Mother Earth and to the energy of Mother Madeline. Then my second one I work with the orange rose, which will work with the second chakra, and it's the sensuality, sexuality, creativity. Then my third roses was the yellow roses, which will work with your mission of life, with your spleen, and also with Christ consciousness, the sun, bringing the energy, yellow of the sun, to the spleen. And then after the heart, in the tarot deck, I put a green rose, but actually it's not a green rose that I use. I use a small little pink rose that has to do with the opening of the heart, because everything begins with the heart, with the opening, with forgiveness of what was in the past, and living in the present, and just being joyful and happy. This is my main message, Forget the past, forget about the future, because the timelines, they all are simultaneous. And just be in your heart, be aligned, breathe, look at the sunshine, go out, find friends, I don't have friends, okay, but just do what you love best. Disconnect of media, of news, of fear. Connect deeply in your heart. And this is my main message. So continuing, then afterwards there's the blue. The blue has to do, the blue rose has to do with communication, has to do opening, the connection of the communication. And then afterwards, I have the purple rose. The purple rose transmutes any situation. You have problems in the marriage, problems with money, whatever. It just transmutes, changes the level of energy. And my last rose is the white rose. The white rose is the rose of peace, is the rose that can be worked in all the chakras. And basically, it's a beautiful healing work. It can be done long distance because we are energy. So I can work with the person, person lives in the UK, for instance. I'm able to work with the person in the UK just as long as I have their permission, I work with children also, and I'm a teacher. At the moment, I have here in Brazil 15 people which are working with the rose elixirs, and I'm very pleased and very happy. And the word dimension rose comes because the roses, they work on several dimensions, in several layers. They just don't work just, like this, so that's why the name Dimension Roses.
Oh, fantastic. That's lovely. And it's great that you've gone through the traditional chakra system from the base to the crown of your head.
Yes.
And, a lot of people, because I believe each chakra also stands for different phases in our lives. So, the base, for example, from preconception to the age of 7, and then go in 7-year increments, and the different changes. The colors are so important because, as you said, everything is to do with energy. So we vibrate at different energies. And could you please explain what would be a typical session with you? You talked about long distance healing. But what happens in one of those sessions, and why do people typically come and see you?
Well, usually when they are in crisis, okay, looking for an answer, when the heart hurts, when they are in deep pain, they've tried everything, and they're looking for easing the pain. So they come. They don't
Fantastic.
come because they are happy. They don't come because they're peaceful. They come because they're in a very, very difficult process. And they say, well, perhaps, those little drops will help me. Nah? So that's one of the reasons, I believe. And then the other reason also has to do with synchronicity, has to do with vibration, has to do with karma, also accomplishing my mission of life. So I'm very, very grateful to those that come to me, that I learn from them, and that they may be healed and benefit the same way I am healed and benefit. It's a both way, it's not what happens.
Yes.
What happens to the consulente, as we say, happens to me also. I liberate every time I work. I liberate, and the person too. So it's wonderful. As I said before, we are all one.
Exactly.
And I like to have, when I work, I like to have several tools, because the tools, and I like to study, because I never know exactly which is the best tool that the person needs. Sometimes it's not the rose elixir that the person needs, it's something, then I will direct the person, for, like, let's say, change of patterns. Then I would direct the person to do a family constellation, for reintegration of the father, the mother, realignment with the family. And this work I don't do, so I will orient them to do a family constellation. My work, I will work with the pendulum, with over 100 emotions, and I will do with the subconscious. I will find out which are the patterns that are in the subconscious, which are the pains, which are the programs. And then I will, with the help of the pendulum and the agreement of the consulate, I will delete those preformed patterns that could have happened in a past life, that could have been brought from mother to daughter, or mother to son, in the womb, because a lot of things happen also in the womb, the feelings, the baby receives everything. So with the pendulum, I will clear, before I will indicate the flower essence, I do a clearing of the emotions that are in the subconscious. And once the person is cleared, then I give them tools so that the mind will not repeat the previous pattern, like affirmation, simple tools. Keep it simple, And once the person is conscious, then you don't have to repeat, because we're in a very, very accelerated moment, and we're all waking up, which is wonderful. To wake up is wonderful. To remember and to embrace our shadow, I would say, just embrace your shadow, and then it's not, it's so hard, it's so difficult. And then you go through it and embrace it with love. And then it becomes light, like light, and it becomes light, just, you breathe, And so this is what I was talking about.
Great. And do you have a success? I know you have many success stories, but is there one success client that jumps to mind, obviously without saying their name, how you helped them?
Okay, basically, well, I help them, but they help me too. Okay, it goes both ways, no? Yeah. So what we have in the group of 15 therapists that work with this lineage of the roses, we have a bank, if you call it a bank, where we have testimony of people, and now it's been 3 years, the testimony, and we write down exactly how many drops and what was their prescription and what happened before and afterwards, and we do the follow-up. And we are creating this scientific research and bank, because all this is pretty new, you know. And yeah, we do have changes and success stories, which I'm so pleased and happy about it. One of them became a rose flower elixir therapist. I cannot say the name, but I mean, today she works with the rose flowers. So I'm very, very pleased.
Fabulous. So they go from surviving to thriving.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Or from thriving to illumination, you know, understanding, you know, it's not just the shadow aspect, it's also the light aspect, being in the heart, working with the energy of Mother Mary, because this is an energy that's so beautiful, this energy.
Beautiful. So could you tell us about your sacred waters? Now we're talking about energies. How do you get them?
Okay, I am passionate about the waters. And for instance, to be just direct, here we are talking, I have a glass of water, and while we are talking, the energy goes in the water. If I want any kind of energy, simple, healing, I just put my intent and it goes into the water. You know, well-being. If I suffer that I cannot sleep, for instance, I'm sleepless, let's say, so I say, okay, I sleep at 10 o'clock, my sleep is easy, and I put the information in the water, and before I go to sleep, I drink it. It's very, very simple. The water absorbs our intent, our intention, and then gives back in harmony, healing. So my research, a friend of mine brought me the waters from Lourdes, from south of France. South of France? No, it's in the Pyrenees, border of Spain and France. And I began working with the water of Lourdes. The Catholic Church has many experiments and doctors that have watched unbelievable healings happen that they did not believe it, and people just took their baths with the water and were completely healed. That's one of the waters I work with. The other water is Medgorge. Medgorge is from a place where there was a lot of conflict, and people that are into deep conflict, when they drink this water, there's a resolution of the conflicts. And so basically all those sacred waters, they come from area where the ley lines, the earth is made of ley lines, and where the ley lines where they cross. And the area where the ley lines cross, the water is the purest and has the purest level of energy. So I also work with the water of Archangel Michael. There's a ley line that goes from Italy, Basilica San Michele, to Mont Saint Michel, all the way up in France. And this water is very, very, very highly potent and really, really special. And the water of Mother Mary, which is a very soothing, calming, loving water. With the water, it's so simple to work with it. We are our physical body, we are 70%, 80% water. Dr. Emoto, in his research, by taking photographs, he showed how when we express, I love you, the water forms those beautiful crystals. When we express, I hate you, it just absolutely, and then with music, and Dr. Emoto is one of the pioneers of the water. And so Mother Earth has many sacred places where the springs, holy springs of water come to heal us. And in Brazil, we have, in Minas Gerais, in São Lourenço, we have 12 springs, and in Caxambu, 12 springs also. And so water is sacred.
Absolutely, totally agree. And as you know, I'm passionate about Dr. Emoto's work as well, and Bader Austin in New Zealand is carrying on his work, but at a different level, because she uses, he works micro and she works macroscopically by taking photos with her phone. So, for example, that's what I do as well. I've started my collection, and
Yeah.
I was so delighted. My first ever photograph in Melbourne, I said, I know tap water is not good, but I believe Melbourne tap water is the best in the world. This is what has allegedly been proved. And my first one was a heart with a dolphin inside. And dolphins are my animal spirit guides. So, yeah.
Oh, what a blessing.
Yeah. And I just wanted to tell the audience that I have had a long distance healing with Claudia, and so that I could speak from my heart. And she uses her pendulum to find out which rose card I needed, and also what rose elixirs, and if I needed any of these sacred waters. And then she then energizes these on a board, which is living waters, and in Spanish or Portuguese is called agua vida. And
Agua viva.
And she uses her intention, because again, when we're connected to all that is, you know, you can set your intention, because your subconscious doesn't know if the person's in front of you live or in another country. And and then she leaves these waters, but I'll let you explain what you did, the procedure. But it was very profound. As soon as she did it and sent me the photographs of the layout and what she'd used, I had a very cathartic reaction and was coughing and releasing a lot of stress. So it started before she actually sent me the photographs. And when I seen them, I thought, oh yeah. And I was so grateful to just be able to release and let go, release, as you say, liberate, let go.
Liberate all layers that need to be created in the light and transformation. No? So the procedure, how can I explain? There's a long distance shot that comes from radionics that people that work with radionics use. And in this shot, you have several circles and you have a number. One requests the permission of the person. One requests the date of birth and the full name. And one puts in this shot the full name, the date of birth. And then with the pendulum and with the tarot deck, one finds out which are the roses. One uses mineral water in a container. We put the drops of the roses, let's say 3 drops of blue rose, 4 drops of the green rose, the rose of the heart. And then we ask, how long will it be working for the person? If it's 1 week, 2 weeks, like in your case, it's 2 weeks. And as I love crystals, and I like also sacred geometry, and I have a little few crystals. So around the container with the rose elixir and the sacred waters, I do a sacred mandala with crystals, tourmaline, lapis lazuli, all the crystals which I feel would be necessary. And for instance, in your case, I use also shells that come from the sea. So the energy of the sea is there. So basically, it's like this. And each person if it's, like, say, 2 weeks, I will change the mandala, I will change the geometric pattern, and I will change the crystals also. And this is the long healing distance. And I verify how the person is feeling it. It's quite accurate. It really works.
Yeah, I read a testimonial of a communal friend who was going through a divorce and very stressed. And she said when she took the drops, she felt so much calmer instantly. And I also think...
She was amazed. Wow.
Yeah. So what's next for you?
Well, what's next for me? What do you mean next?
Do you have plans for the future to continue expanding? Are you doing online workshops?
Yes, I do online teachings. I love creating groups of therapists and passing on this knowledge on how to work. This is one of my passions. And actually, I'm working with 5 students, new students here in Brazil. They're all long distance. So I'm very pleased and very happy.
Oh, good. And you sent me a photograph with you on the beach on New Year's Day holding a bunch of roses. And you said you always do a ritual. Can you explain that?
Okay. We have 2 rituals here in Brazil. We have New Year's, where we light a candle and make a wish with the candle lit on the beach. We dress in white or we dress in gold, and then we have a rose or a flower and we give it to the ocean. It's a gift to Iemanjá. Iemanjá is the goddess, the female archetype of the ocean. And if the ocean accepts the flower and doesn't bring it back by the waves, it means that what you requested will be attended in the new year that you're entering. Okay? So this is one of the where one puts flowers at the sea. And the other one is on the February 2nd, which is her official date of birth. It's her birthday. And so all over Brazil, particularly in Bahia, north of Brazil, we have little boats that are full of roses and flowers. And the goddess of the sea, she has long dark hair. And so she loves to paint and to comb her hair. So they put on the boat, they put mirrors, they put comb, they put champagne, and then the fishermen, they go out at sea, far away from the waves to make sure that she receives her gifts. And normal people just go to the beach, light their candle, and same procedures as New Year's also. It would be interesting because the part of the comb and it's plastic and it's not recyclable, and so I don't know what the flowers is totally recycled. It goes in nature, but the comb and the comb and the mirror and the bottle is a glass bottle, thrown to the ocean. But it's a tradition. And so, I mean, if you talk about ecology and, don't throw plastic to the ocean, but it's difficult for us Brazilians to change this tradition. It's beautiful. I mean, it's a ceremony that I haven't seen nowhere else in the world. I was told that in Thailand, they also have one for New Year's where they put on a little boat, they put a candle and you see thousands of candles that are lit. And my sister sent me a photograph, very, very, very beautiful in Thailand.
Wow, sounds absolutely amazing. Whenever I light a candle, I always invite my guardian angel to be present and help me in all things. I'm just curious as well, because everything is about energy and the subconscious. And obviously you did Reiki, and obviously we ask permission to give a healing, and we do Psych-K, so psychology, kinesiology, which, you know, you ask permission as well, and you test for what blockages. And I'm just wondering if you combine those with your work as well.
Yes, that's what I was trying to explain. Yes, I do. It all depends which is the need. What are the needs? No.
So you listen.
I will use the tools accordingly to the needs.
Okay, so I know that you work intuitively, and this is the biggest gift, to look within and listen to your messages. So if there was one thing that you could do to change the world, what would it be?
My answer is, I don't want to change the world. My answer is, look into deep within myself, make the necessary changes in myself, find the peace in myself, stop with the monkey mind, go to the heart, and forget about the outside world. Because whenever there's this alignment with the heart and forgetting the monkey mind has its purpose for life, for practical things. But in this case, no. Alignment with the consciousness, with the heart. So a simple way is, I ask my heart, is it okay? How do I feel about it? It's simple. It's not complicated, you know? I don't ask my brain. And I'm not looking to make changes, world peace, oh, this and that. I'm not looking outside for answers. No, all my answers are inside.
That's great, because I firmly believe if we all look within and connect to our heart, we will come from a beautiful space of love. And where love exists, there is no fear. There's no wars, there's no anger, there's no monkey mind, and we would all live as one in harmony. So this, I understand, is what you're trying to explain, because I know we think similarly, and by connecting to love inside, we will be the change we want the world to be.
Yes. So first, the change needs to be our inner change.
Inner change.
Inner change, awareness, opening of the heart. Stop saying it's his fault, or saying that the other did something wrong. It's not the other's fault. It's the other one has understanding on a certain level at that certain moment. And so do the inner work. Do the work with your shadow. Embrace your shadow. Love yourself. And let that monkey mind just poof.
Lovely. As you were describing it, I was looking at your beautiful rose that you're wearing, your Dimension Rose t-shirt, which is stunning. And you put your hands on your heart and moved out, and I could imagine that rose blossoming. And I think, you know, we all have a rose inside our heart, and we all are able to blossom and remember the divine beings we truly are, who we are at our core. And I know you designed your rose deck and these t-shirts, and it's absolutely stunning. So
the rose on top of the infinite, her name is Louisa. She lives in south of France. I had a dream, and I dreamt of this logo, and I asked Louisa, can you help me? She does, you know, those special manuscript drawings and things like this. She's a specialist. And so she came up with this design. So this design, I thanked Louisa from south of France, you know, and this is our logo. It's a rose that sits on the infinite, because we are infinite, you know.
Exactly.
And the rose is what expands from the heart.
exactly. And I love roses. As you know, my connection with Mary Magdalene, when I seen an apparition of her with my friend Isla in St. Bom, which was a truly life-changing experience for me. And I just, you know, there's an old saying, stop and smell the roses. And I think, you know, this is like, hello, people, wake up. Like you keep saying, everything needs to be simple. It's as simple as just smelling a rose, or smelling the coffee boiling for those who drink it, or just, you know, I tell people to put a message, an alarm on their phone with a beautiful word like love, peace, or joy. And when it goes off, just stop and breathe. You know, in that instant, the past doesn't exist, the future doesn't exist. We're just in this present moment. So,
and the changes are made in this present moment.
Exactly, exactly. So thank you, dear Claudia, for giving up your precious, precious time and sharing your wonderful words of knowledge. And I've put everything into the chat box here on Facebook. And when we publish it on YouTube and so forth, I'll add everything there. And for the people watching the replays, you're welcome to leave a message for Claudia here or reach out to her personally. And keep shining and keep breathing and looking within, everyone. And if you're going through difficult times, which we all do, because it doesn't matter where we are on the ladder of evolution, we often slip back into our monkey mind and our disempowering beliefs and habits. And the universe puts obstacles in front of us and we have to deal with them, like loss and death and divorce and so forth. If you can't cope, reach out to the lovely Claudia, no matter where you are in the world, and she'll help you on your pathway. So thank you everyone for listening.
Blessings.